All right, welcome to this media session for the 2023 NWBA Intercollegiate Women's Wheelchair Basketball Tournament. We are joined by representatives from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, so if you wouldn't mind, please just stating your name and your respective position with the team.
My name is Jake Schaefer, and I'm the head coach here at Whitewater.
I'm Maya Campbell, and I'm a freshman at Whitewater.
All right, appreciate you both taking the time and prepping for this. So I'll start off with you, Coach. What do you feel your assessment is of your team at this point heading into nationals?
So one thing that happened to us for this semester is we had about 4 or 5 people go down with some medical issues, which is really tough. But since that has happened, we've actually won 3 games, which is much more than first semester. So I would say this team is really tough and resilient and put themselves in a great position to put up a tough nationals fight against any team that we have to play.
Absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to add of what you feel your assessment is of the team at this point?
I feel like losing the amount of people that we did from the first semester has caused us to come a lot closer this second semester and kind of force us to really figure it out together as a team versus just hoping for the best and seeing the result at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Coach, I got to ask, because you grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, how's it been seeing the Cincinnati Bengals over the last couple of years?
It's a whole different experience. I was actually talking about this a little bit earlier, is even when we were like in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, it was just kind of like a dreamlike state for me being a kid growing up, always seeing them not be successful. So once they finally figured it out, it was cool. But something that's really interesting to reflect on is how much Joe Burrow didn't just change the environment on the team, but in the city of Cincinnati. We went from effectively, we used to be a baseball town. Now we're totally all about football. And it's very exciting, but I think it's great to see how one player's impact can really just change a culture at times, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking about this prior to. We made the trip up to Whitewater this past year, and certainly there's some challenges that come with the travel side in that you guys have had to travel a lot as you did last year. You even mentioned this is now, I believe, the 3rd or 4th time of coming down to Tuscaloosa. How do you prepare the team and keep them in the right mindset for the tournaments they go into when you have such elongated traveling?
We try to have some fun on our trips and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we take our time and sleep because that gets a good portion of the trip done. But we all like to have fun, hoot and holler on the bus. It kind of keeps you loose, so when you show up to games, you're not just stressing over thinking about it and overthinking them as much. So when we get here and we prepare before games, just as we would at home, it's not like there's too much thinking that goes behind it. So we try to keep the environment kind of fun to make the trip entertaining in itself, because any bus trip that's that long is just monotonous and not fun. So you do your best.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So certainly sports are superstitious, and we have our sort of rituals and things we like to do to get in the right mindset. Is there anything that you do of like, is there any lucky socks or lucky headband or anything along those lines?
I would just say I got to wear a headband.
Okay.
That's just one thing. And then obviously just kind of like listening to music kind of calms me and just kind of gets me ready to play a game and get me in the right mindset.
Okay, absolutely. Now, it's kind of loud with the practices going on. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's Maida, right? Or is it
Maya?
Maya. Okay,
yes.
Perfect on that. So you're from Omaha, Nebraska.
Yes.
And certainly Nebraska is one of those states where Omaha hosts sporting events here and there, and there's not as much out there as some other states. But what would you say if anyone's asking what's there to do in Omaha, Nebraska? What would you tell them?
The zoo. 100%.
Just the zoo of how great it is.
Oh, yeah. You could spend a whole day there easily.
So this is your first year in college. How challenging has it been for you to balance both being a student and being an athlete?
Not too bad. I feel like I've really taken it on and just kind of one day at a time kind of thing, and just being able to kind of find the balance between doing schoolwork and practices and obviously traveling and stuff like that has been fairly easy for me in a sense. And just I think the main thing was just really finding that balance between, okay, here's when I practice and here's when I got to do my schoolwork and get everything done.
We've talked with other athletes as well in the intercollegiate scene, both on the men's and women's side, and they've always talked about how the recruiting is the biggest part of getting into a program and buying into the culture. Was there a particular moment for you when you were either talking with Coach Schaefer or talking with representatives from Whitewater that told you this is where I belong?
I think it was just more of I'm a big comfort kind of person, and being, so far away from family, not being able to see them as much as I would like, comfort is a very big thing for me, and being able to be comfortable in Whitewater and enjoy my time there has made it so much easier. And that's what I felt right off the bat, was just comfort from being there.
I know Nebraska can experience some harsh winters, but have you gotten used to Wisconsin's winters yet?
The wind is horrible.
Yeah. Now, Coach, you've been used to it a little bit because Cincinnati does get those tough winters. Is there any different challenge on that with Wisconsin?
I agree with Maya. The wind's pretty bad because we're not too far away from Lake Michigan, and Wisconsin's a very flat land, so those winds tend to travel a good amount. But I would say just a little bit more snowfall. If anything, it just makes you appreciate the warmer weather a little bit more. And it kind of also is just made me more numb to when you do have bad weather experiences. I'm able to handle those a little bit better. I'm more well practiced. So going out through 2 feet of snow isn't something new to me. So I have developed the skills to navigate it, I guess would be the way to put it.
Oh, absolutely. And Coach, on that kind of accord, there's also I asked Maya here about the recruiting side of things, and certainly through the season you've had more players on your roster, and you were only able to, as you mentioned, with medical situations, bring out 5 players to start on the roster. What sort of adjustments are you making to try and have your team be the most competitive? Because competing 40 minutes total on the floor both ways has a myriad of challenges. So what adjustments are you making to accommodate for that?
Well, I acknowledge to them how tough it is to play in that kind of scenario. I don't want them to feel like when they're, breathing really hard and you don't have a sub to kind of get you more mentally, stable, I guess would be a word to use there. Because it's always nice if, you threw a bad turnover, you start to get in your own head to have a few minutes of a breather, and we don't have those luxuries. So I try to point out how proud they should be about taking this challenge head on and try to emphasize those points, because it's really easy to get caught in the, wow, this is really tough, and basketball is a little bit more of a struggle not having as many teammates. But I think just they've echoed that and really taken it head on.
Absolutely. And Coach, certainly the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater has a rich history in the intercollegiate scene, going in 2012 through 14, winning 3 straight national championships. And it's always challenging whenever you start in a new position to establish that winning culture and start cultivating a championship team. So what does it mean to you that the university trusted you essentially right after your graduation to take the helm of this program?
It was pretty awesome. Whitewater does a great job at giving back to the people that graduate from there. They love bringing alumni in because we really encompass what Whitewater was all about. It's a really big athletic school, and we try to cater to athletes and make their experience as great as possible. So that's why we like bringing those people in. So them trusting me with it was great, because I've learned from some great people, and I think they recognize that, and I can pass down what we've learned from past traditions and try to reestablish that winning presence that we used to have back in the day.
Yep, absolutely. Alex?
Hey, Coach. Just from being able to watch y'all play the last couple of years, it seems to be a trend that y'all continue to get better throughout the season and start playing your best basketball towards the end of the season. Can you just speak on that, and what have been your recent assessment of your team's play the past couple of tournaments?
So I think we're light years ahead of where we were at the beginning of the year, but especially at last year at this time. We've closed the gap on some teams that we had some tough games with, and we started beating some teams that we were close with, which is awesome. And I think it makes them feel like they're starting to get that recognition on the court a little bit more. But this team's just really tough, and even with all the challenges we faced, like Maya said, our chemistry is just getting much better, and that's the part that I'd like to recognize is we're starting to understand how to play on the court together. And if you can really quicken that up, it makes wheelchair basketball, which is predominantly a team sport, just that much easier to play.
And being a leader on this team, for you, how have you seen the locker room and the team gel throughout this season so far?
Coming in this year, we started off pretty strong as a team and just knowing one another and stuff. But I feel like over, I guess, even the last month or two that we've really kind of connected more on the court. We are able to trust each other in certain situations a lot more, and just picking each other up when we do have those one turnover, bad shot, whatever possession, and kind of just going and attacking it head on as one.
Coach, your quarterfinal matchup is set to go up against Arizona. Can you just talk about what makes Arizona a difficult team to go up against?
They got a good-sized bench, and they have some players that have been playing together for a little bit now, so their chemistry is definitely getting better. And they're coached by some people with Paralympic experience, so they definitely know what it takes to be an international player, which adds to what you can do on the court. So those things right there definitely make them a tough matchup for us. But I think that they're within reach of us for sure, and we keep closing that gap every game we play. So we're hoping just to keep that sentiment up and keep moving forward in that direction, and hopefully we snag one on them here soon.
Maya, obviously everyone wants to come to Nationals and has the expectation of going and winning the National Championship. But for you and your teammates in the locker room, just what are y'all kind of personal aspirations coming here, and what are you really expecting to kind of get out of this trip here at Nationals?
I mean, we all want to win. That's obviously the end goal. Obviously, snagging a win against Arizona is something we've always kind of worked towards, too, especially this season and stuff. So we're in hopes that happens this weekend.
So, Coach Schaefer, you have been in these players' positions before. You are now a coach. What do you see in your team that you think makes them a Nationals caliber team?
Well, they really are supportive of each other. Back when I went to Whitewater, a big difference between when I first showed up, we won a couple national championships, was just how much together the team played. And it wasn't necessarily that we were the best of friends at every moment. It's just on the court, we were very cohesive. We worked really hard to achieve a goal together. And that's something that this team is trying to represent as well. They work really hard. They have conversations about how do we fix some of the goofy turnovers and clean up some play with each other. And then they echo a lot of the things that I've told them that seem successful from my personal experiences. So
Perfect.
We're becoming much smarter basketball players, and it's really starting to show.
So, Maya, as a team leader, what have you done to almost encourage the cohesiveness of the team?
I think overall just letting everybody know that I trust them as much as they trust me on and off the court. And also just letting them know that we're all one. We got each other's back regardless. Things might not always go the way we expect them to or want them to, but at least as we put our best foot forward and try, that's all I can ask of them, and I'll give them my 100% as well.
I've heard the term trust be thrown around a lot while we're sitting here talking. So what is one aspect of your team you are very confident in going into this tournament?
That we all want to achieve the same goal. At the end of the day, when you have a team, sometimes that's the tough part is you have different individuals, and they all don't necessarily want to achieve the same thing. But I think we're all on the same page is what it comes down to, and that comes from the healthy conversations that we've had over the whole entire year. And I think that right there is part of it, is we're just all on the same page, and in a team sport, that's very important.
Maya, one last thing. Is that okay? Oh, Maya, as a freshman, as your first year in college, how much would it mean to you to bring home a national title for the first time in a decade?
Obviously, I would say just the world. Everybody always sees themselves and, pictures themselves winning a national championship and the feeling that it would just bring to them and their team. And to be able to win that would be an amazing feeling and undescribable almost at that moment. So
Perfect. Thank you.
Maya, what would you say is your favorite part of this season?
I would just say, coming together, finally kind of, having our moment of we get it, kind of where we all came together and we're like, we got this, we're a solid team. As long as we work together and we put forth the effort, we can do some pretty amazing things. Yeah.
Coach, two questions. The first one, there's been years to where the rosters at Whitewater included some international players. Not so much this year. Is that a change in philosophy or just the way that things have been?
So COVID kind of shrunk some of our budget down a little bit, so getting in international players has been tough. I've been in talks with some people all over the world and trying to get that presence back. I think, one, there's all sorts of talent out there, and in women's wheelchair basketball, you have to search the world because there's only so many recruits in the USA that you can really pick from. But on top of that, it's just a great cultural experience for everybody involved. So we're really trying to get back to that level.
One more question from me. Whitewater's kind of famous for the campus integrating students with disabilities fully into so many things, including intramural wheelchair basketball for able-bodied kids. What's it like to be on a campus like that? And for other programs that may be interested in emerging as intercollegiate programs, what types of things would you suggest they do on their campus to create such an inclusive environment?
So something that Whitewater has, and I don't think it's something on every single college campus, is we have something called Center for Students with Disabilities, and what they do is they try to accommodate anything that you may physically or even mentally need. They even have some things called invisible disabilities, which you might not see as much, and they try to help accommodate in classrooms and all over campus for that. What's really cool is you feel like you can go everywhere on campus, but what Whitewater does a phenomenal job at is, as a program, they're extremely supportive of our wheelchair basketball team. There's pictures all over campus, even in one of our main dining areas where they recognize a lot of the success able-bodied sports have had, especially football. We have our own section where you can go see some legends like Joe Chambers kind of hanging on the wall and people like that, where there's just honor, we get honored all over the place. So it's really nice that we get great recognition from a campus, especially one that is very focused on athletics as it is.
So, Coach, we were talking. He mentioned about the not necessarily this year of the women's team having players on the preliminary roster for the Paralympics, but two of the men's players for Whitewater were announced on that preliminary list a couple of months ago. Especially with you being a part of that team during your time in undergrad, what does that mean to you to still see success within the wheelchair basketball program, to see them considered to be able to represent their nation?
At Whitewater, we've always taken pride in our presence at the Paralympic level. Even when we go to tryouts, we always have a huge number of people there, especially on the men's side recently. The women's side, we've had great representation, and we still do from alumni that are a little bit older, and we're trying to work back to getting some athletes to really get back to that level. But we just take a ton of pride in it. It's always great to see the Warhawks be successful, and anybody who wore purple bleeds purple at the end of the day.
Now, Caitlin asked this to Maya, so I'll ask this to you. Because we've had other coaches express that they've been fortunate enough to win national championships or gold or respected medals as a player, but not necessarily as a coach at this point. What would it mean for you to potentially win a national championship for the first time as a head coach?
I'm kind of with Maya. It would mean the world. It would be awesome. It would be real great justification for all the hard work that we've put in. It would make me feel like I'm doing something right and teaching wheelchair basketball to this next generation. But ultimately, what I experienced when I won a couple national championships is just how great it feels that you came together with a group of people and you accomplished that goal. So if we're able to snag our first one here in the near future, that would be awesome, because I would definitely appreciate the first one more than whatever is to come after that.
Absolutely. All right, that'll wrap it up. We appreciate you both taking the time. Best of luck to you in the tournament this weekend.
Awesome.
Thank you.